Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be flipping these French provincial style side tables that I got at the Salvation Army for only $30 as a pair, which is a total steal. They are in okay condition. The tops are pretty marked up and have some significant water spots, and the legs are a little scuffed up too. However, the drawers slide great, which is always a plus when you're doing a makeover because that's just one less thing that you have to replace or worry about. There are only 4 pieces of hardware between these two, so taking it off will go by pretty quick. The nice thing about these older pieces are that the screws are typically pretty loose, which makes it super easy to take off with just a screwdriver. 9 times out of 10 when I'm making over a French provincial piece, I am keeping the original hardware. To this day, I think this type of hardware is so unique and really pretty, and you really don't find hardware like this nowadays. One of the best ways you guys can support me and my small channel is by simply pressing that thumbs up button below this video. Doing that is going to tell the YouTube algorithm to push it out to new people, which helps me out a ton. I also noticed that 80% of you guys watching my videos are not yet subscribed, so make sure to do that as well if you aren't, because that really helps a ton. Really, if you guys just interact with this video and the videos on my channel, I could not ask for more because it helps more than you know. Now I'm taking some of these rags and I'm gonna start cleaning down these 2 pieces. Clearly they are pretty dusty and dirty, and really who knows the last time that they were thoroughly cleaned off, but cleaning any piece before primer or paint goes on is so important, and really make sure that you take your time on the corners because that's where all of the dust will sit. Also, the backs of these pieces in particular were filthy. You can literally see the dust on my finger and it falling off the piece. It was just so satisfying to clean and wipe that up, but I will say by the end of it, it made my rag so dirty, but I really like these rags because it picks up all of the dust super nicely, especially if you wet it down. One place that a lot of people miss are the drawer fronts and underneath the hardware. This is why you take the hardware off first, because if you don't, you would have missed all of that dust. Alright, so at this point it's a little bit past 11 and I'm going to try to flip these 2 French provincial side tables in one day. So far we've already taken off the hardware and we've wiped it down. Now my idea and my plan for these pieces are completely sand these tops down to raw wood and do some sort of stain or paint wash. And then as far as like the body goes, I want to paint it in a neutral color. I'm not 100% sure which color yet, but it'll likely be either white or black. My goal on this flip is to make a quick sale. Matching nightstands and side tables are one of the best sellers for me. So if I can flip this in one day, get it up on Marketplace, in about a week, I'm sure I will have a sale. Let's get these out of the garage so that I can start sanding down the tops and then giving the body a good scuff sand so that the paint and primer and paint will adhere to the surface. Oops, you guys are a little crooked. So it's always important that anytime you're going to be sanding to wear some protective equipment, your PPE. I just have these glasses. They're a little bit big, but you can find some that'll work for you. And then I also have my mask here. I'm about due for some filter changes, so don't forget to do that. You do have to change these out every now and then, but this is going to be my last project with these filters until I change them out. To remove this old finish, I'm going to be using an 80 grit of sandpaper. I am going to be using my orbital sander as well. For those of you who has never used a circular sander, orbital sander, whatever, you just want to line up all of the holes there. Clearly, I got the wrong sandpaper and the holes aren't going to line up perfectly, but I try to line up at least one or two. Wow, this is stunning. I knew it was going to be pretty, but this is awesome. I love the wood grain. It's beautiful, but now I don't know what to do though. Now that this is finished, I'm having a really hard time trying to figure out what I want to do with it, whether it's doing a light paint wash. I'll show you a picture here. I've done it a lot recently, or I do have like a dark stain that I could do that would also look good. I'm just really not sure, so I think I'm gonna go to my Instagram followers and see what they have to say. Right now I'm currently sanding down the tops of some side tables, and I'm getting really excited about it because it has some really pretty wood grain that I'm gonna flip the camera around and show you guys. So here they are. This one has been sanded down to raw wood. This one has not. My look for these are going to be painting like the body's white, I'm pretty sure, but I don't know what I want to do with the tops. I know I want them to be either a paint wash or a stain, but I'm not sure which direction to go. I think I'm going to pop up 2 slides and have you guys vote on which one you think will be best, because I'm really not sure and I need your help. To my surprise, more than half of you voted the light paint wash, so that is what I'm going to be doing. But in the meantime, I am hand sanding with a 150 grit just to give everywhere a good scuff sand. Now, if you guys are not following me on Instagram yet, make sure to go ahead and follow me so you don't miss out on any extra content and all of the stories that I post there. I will leave it linked in the video here and in the description box down below. Alright, it's about 12:30 now. My Instagram followers are still putting in their thoughts on whether I should do a paint wash or a stain. But they did say that it would maybe be smart to paint the body of these pieces first so that I can really get an idea of which way I should go and which way would look best. So I think I am going to do that. I'm not going to tape anything down or anything. I have a pretty steady hand, so I'm not too concerned about getting paint on the tops of these. And if I do, it'll be super easy to remove. I can just sand it off after it's dried and it'll be good as new. At this point, I am pretty set on painting these a nice bright white. White is literally the fastest color that sells for me because it's super in right now and a lot of people really like having white in their house. So I am going to do that. I am going to be using my Zinsser 123 primer. This is my go-to primer. I really haven't walked away from this primer. I've tried the Kills primer and that's really good as well, especially for any stain blocking. But really all I need here is an adhesion primer, and I find that this is the best bang for my buck with that. So I'm going to go ahead and use this. At first I really was using my steady hand, but later on you'll kind of notice that I kind of just said screw that and I stopped like trying to be so neat with it because it was just taking far too long, and It'll be so easy to just sand off the top, all the paint that got on the top later. Obviously, I'm always checking for clumps and trying to do a quality job, but as far as not getting any primer and paint on the tops, I just know that I can go back later, and that's exactly what I did. After the primer dried, I got ready to paint, and I've been using the same paint for quite some time. It's the Showcase Sherwin-Williams, pretty sure like bright white paint. I'll have all the details listed here, but I did get it from the Oops section for only $9, so I've been using it a ton. I use this white anytime I need to use white, and actually I'm a little bit less than halfway through this gallon, so I'm gonna have to get some new white soon. But make sure you're always stirring your paint up before you're using it. I only showed on putting the first coat, but it really did need about 4 coats. When I'm painting in the colorway, I don't usually record all of the coats just because it gets to be a super repetitive process. But if that's something that you do prefer, let me know and I can definitely change that. Obviously, I'm not done yet, but once the paint goes on, this is really when the makeover starts to really show, and it shows how well it looks changing from that dark and dingy brown to a super bright, beautiful white, and it really just moderns up the piece of furniture. It was getting to be around 6 o'clock by the time I let the last 4th coat of paint to dry, and I started putting on the polyacrylic top coat in flat. Here you can see I'm using a coat to apply it. I like to do that when it comes to paint, but I have a completely different method that you probably already know about if you've seen my videos before that I like to do with the paint washes and the stains. But if not, just stick around and I'll show you a really cool trick to get almost a completely flawless finish on any paint wash or stain. Also, I should probably mention that I did only do 1 coat of this polyacrylic just because the white paint that I was using is already an all-in-one paint. I just like to go the extra mile and take the extra measure to really top coat it up and secure it so that nothing scratches and it has a great finish. After the top coat dried, I brought the pieces back out of the garage, and you can see all the spots that I did get on the top, but that's okay because we're gonna go ahead and sand that down. It's a super easy process. You can see I'm just sanding it down. Just be careful on edges when you are sanding the edges. You don't want to change up the design, and you also don't want to rip through any veneer. And once all the paint was off of the top, I started wiping it down. I thought that this was just so satisfying. I almost debated just putting a top coat over the top of this once I really started wetting the top, which you'll see here. But I wanted something a little bit more creamy, so I didn't do that, but you cannot tell me that this doesn't look stunning. As the top was drying, I was preparing my paint wash. I have a little bit of water in that container, and I am going to be using, I've been using this so often, but the Fusion Mineral Paints Algonquin. I think it's safe to say that I am literally obsessed with this color by now. You are probably getting bored of it, and I am so sorry, but it is just so gorgeous. As you can see, I am letting the top completely dry before I put any paint on it. Make sure to do that, otherwise it will act as a pre-stain, which can be a good thing, but you got to make sure that it's even throughout. If you've never done a paint wash before, it is pretty simple. I am just taking a rag and wiping on some of that paint wash. Now, I don't have any ratios to anything. It's just paint and water mixed up. And you'll see here I am taking that rag, wiping it on. And because this piece is painted in a white, I am taking a wetted down rag and just making sure to catch anything that has gotten on the white paint. And then I'm going back with a new rag and wiping all of the excess back. You want to make sure that it's pretty thin so that you can still see all of the wood grain underneath. Again, this paint wash is supposed to be acting as a stain. And from there, you just follow the same process until the entire surface is covered in your paint wash. My dang ring light kept getting in the way as I was trying to take these shots, but just look at the before and the after of this paint wash. I think that this is such a stunning creamy color. I keep saying it, but I think it was definitely the right decision to go with this paint wash over something dark. One of the final steps, this is my special trick to putting polyacrylic, the finish, on either a paint wash or a stain, and that is using this grouch sponge. As I said, it gives off the most flawless finish you could ever ask for, really. I just put it on the tops of these two pieces, and I did end up doing 2 coats of this. Now, this was the final thing. Off camera, I did end up spray painting the hardware gold, so you will see that as we get into this final reveal. Again, you guys, if you really like this type of content, please make sure to give this video a thumbs up, comment something down below, just interact with me, and subscribe if you aren't already. But with all of that being said, let's go ahead and get into this long-awaited final reveal.
Try to make it new. You can't fight it when it feels so true. You drive me crazy like no